We're joined now by the Senate President's spokesman, Eseme Eyiboh. He's also a former member of the House of Representatives. And in our offsite studio is Senator Elisha Abbo, who's accused Senator Akpabio of being responsible for his removal from the Senate by the Court of Appeal. Gentlemen, good to see you both, and thanks for your time. Let's start with you, Senator Abbo. We've heard you and everyone has seen you speak. Let us in on the facts, that informed your decision or your information on the day. Do you have any fact to show that the Senate President is responsible for your loss at the appeal court?
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity to clear this. I have to say this with all sense of humility and responsibility, that the press release we rendered yesterday was premature and based on the available information in our disposal yesterday. But as of today, we come up with, we have discovered a lot of things yesterday, and yesterday night I also had a discussion with Senate President, my brother, my colleague, distinguished Senator Akpabio, and I am convinced that he's not involved. This is because we met yesterday, and let me go by his word. He said, Senator Abbo, I swear on my mother's grave that I am not involved in this. I don't even know you are in the court. For a number 3 citizen to come up to tell me that he has sworn on his mother's grave, a woman that he loves so much, and a woman who brought him up after he lost his father at the age of 6, I don't see a reason why he will lie. And today, the additional intelligence trickled in, and we have abundant information. So this morning, after our discussion with Senate President yesterday, and I apologized to him yesterday, it is only honorable, virtuous, that when something is wrong, you have to clear his name and say, yes, we acted on this in error because of the available information in our disposal yesterday. Mr. President, my distinguished brother and friend, I am sorry you are not involved. I believe every word you say because I know how much you value your mother. One time you told me that your mother died 2 months before you became commissioner in Akwa Ibom State. That your prayer is for your mother to come up from her grave today and see you as the president of the Senate of Nigeria, something that money cannot do. You value your mother so much.
Right.
There's nothing more to discuss.
Okay, if I may comment very, very quickly, of course, I mean, I'm sure Eseme Eyiboh is itching to say something in response to what is said there. But very quickly, in 30 seconds, I'd like you to clarify, Mr. Elisha Abbo. There's been a lot of talk about attempts to impeach the Senate President or President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio. And you've been, fingered as one of those planning that because you were never part of those who supported his emergence as President of the Senate. Can you confirm that? Was there any plan at all? Were you part of that plan?
There was no plan to impeach Senate President Akpabio, but there was plan to make him do that which is right. And when the issue came up that time, I met him, the Deputy Senate President and the Senate leader, and we locked ourselves in a room from 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. And I told them the infractions or the mistake they made in the allocation of committees that time when I was in the Senate. I'm a former senator now, so I'm not in the chamber. And they agreed and they assured me that yes, there were mistakes and we are going to correct it. And when they went to the chamber the next day, they dissolved all vice chairmanship of the committee. I'm not a senator now, I'm not a serving senator now, but I want to tell you that there was no plan. And I want to also tell you, maybe you will not give me the opportunity to talk again, that I support Senator Akpabio to see that he deliver and the mandate of his people, and I'm praying for God to give him wisdom, because a Senate is a congregation of equals. The rule protects everybody. So I am praying for him to learn how to manage his colleagues so that he can finish well. I don't want him to fail.
All right, good. Quickly, we'll come back to you. You still have time to talk, but let's come back to Honorable Eseme Eyiboh, who's Akpabio spokesperson. Let's start from the issue. I'll let you come to react to what he said, Eyiboh, but let's start with the big drama that played out in the Senate today. Take us through what happened between the very respected Senator Ndume and Nigeria's Senate President.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think the issue here is that I want to correct some impressions. I heard the reportage saying Senator Akpabio, Senator Akpabio, Senator Akpabio. That is absolutely wrong. The man, Senator Akpabio, presided over the Senate, and he has always presided over as a Senate president and not the person of Senator Godswill Akpabio. So whatever he did in that circumstance, he did as the president of the Nigerian Senate. So it's quite a breach of the official courtesy that when in a report says that Senator Akpabio ruled out of order, it's the Senate president who acted, and that should be corrected in further reportage. That's one. Then number two, the issue of saying that distinguished Senator Ndume walked out is not correct. It's a misuse of words. All I know is that the Senate was in session presided over by the Senate president. And the Senate spokesperson did this explanation today when he was talking to media men. It happens, for example, in courts, a lawyer will rise up to say, "My Lord, in the case of Suleiman versus NG, a legal classicus," and a very smart judge will say, "What is the principle in that case? Can you avail the court with that case?" In some cases, you realize that there is no case like that. Some lawyers may bring up such a case to be able to persuade and canvass sympathy from the judge for the benefits of his clients. But in this case, what really happened from the narration was that distinguished Senator Ndume, a very experienced parliamentarian and also respected, you know, cited an order 54.
Right.
And the Senate president said that what he is talking about and the order, that what he's talking about is not in that order 54, you know. And argument came up. I think he asked him to open his standing order, and read order 54. And he refused because he was very conscious that the facts of what he was presenting was not found in that.
Right,
But look at what
I mean,
the pictures.
No, I am coming there. I'm explaining that to you.
You can see him walking out there,
So,
because you said he never walked out.
What I'm saying is that the word walking out is suggesting a conflict. He could have as well, after he was ruled out, maybe he wants to go to his office to go and bring a standing order or bring something to now continue the proceedings.
Okay.
So when he stepped out, if he was walking out, he wouldn't have come back. And when he came back, he participated in the executive session. So that, of course, suggested that he was not under any provocation. The issue is just blown out of a misrepresentation of the facts as they were.
Okay.
Yes.
So very quickly, I mean, there have been allegations before now, also on the part of Senator Ali Ndume there, who raised an objection. He says that the Senate president has been in the habit of, you know, coming up with passing bills arbitrarily without consulting members of the Senate. You want to address that issue? Is it being misrepresented in the media too?
Well, I think that was also a misrepresentation. I watched that same video. It was Senator Anawo from Nasarawa State who raised an issue. What distinguished Senator Ndume did was to bring about enlightenment that if it is a serious bill like money bill, for example, they have to inform other senators. But any other bill, or there are some bills, for example, or motions, that two-thirds is the two-thirds of the members in a sitting. So he did that explanation to be able to, unburden those who did not understand the principles and what underlines in the issue of two-thirds. So he was actually the person Senator Ndume was actually the person who proceeded on the strength of the procedure, because Parliament is not run through projections or intention or the prophecy of any individual. It's done through procedures, and those procedures are part of what he articulated in that circumstance. But unfortunately, even with the video, the narratives will say, Senator Ndume said this, Senator Ndume said, even people who did not understand or who did not even watch the video, they were still writing about it. So I think we need to be a little bit circumspect in a couple of conversations we throw into the public.
And Honorable Eyiboh, that's why you're here, because there's a video there.
I'm not here as the spokesperson of the Senate.
No,
I'm not a senator.
But again, that's why you're here, to bring clarity to some of the issues, because you were there. And again, let's ask, is there a problem between your principal, who is Nigeria's Senate president, and some leadership? Because what played out today, you said, well, it just from some clarity, clearly, Ndume was visibly angry for being ruled out of order not once, not twice.
But one thing you need to know is that I will give you the benefit of the doubt that you've never been in the parliament, but I pray, maybe by 2027, you will have opportunity to be in the parliament. But I can tell you that the kind of scenario you had today, the scenario of being ruled out of order, is typical of the parliament, because the Senate president or the speaker or whoever is the presiding officer can exercise the discretion of the gavel, but in compliance with the rule book. He must do that. So you may come up with a motion on some or whatever it is. Recall that the strength of the standing order is empowered by Section 60 of the Constitution, and to that extent, you must, if you are a presiding officer, you must have a full grasp of what the standing order is. Assuming that Akpabio, Senator Akpabio, who is the Senate president, did not have a full grasp of his environment and the management of the procedures and proceedings of the Senate, he may have surrendered to the fact of Section 5.4, of that standing order. But because he knows what that standing order is all about, he requested to. That's why he acted that way. So there is no love lost between senators. He has generated so much love in act and in heart, and this is what is welding together the relationship of the senators.
The love you speak of, some northern politicians still think that there is no love lost between Senator Akpabio and some northern senators. They felt that he had an issue with Senator Abbo and now Senator Ndume.
Well, I think if it is Senator Abbo, distinguished Senator Abbo you are talking about, he called me this morning, and we had a conversation. Senator Abbo is more or less like a son to Senator Godswill Akpabio.
Right.
Just over the weekend, he went with him in a delegation for a ceremony in Ogun State. And he went with him, the delegation, to Borno State on a condolence visit to the former Senate president. And there has never been any court case or exchange of litigations or a legal process between the two of them.
Okay, let's bring in Elijah Abbo.
He has said it, and I pointed out to him this morning, and that, look, what he did was actually out of the realms of courtesy, that he acted in a way and manner which, of course, gave him out, because if Akpabio, if he was not, okay, sorry.
Your point has been made, definitely.
Yeah, sorry, that's okay.
Let's bring in Elisha Abbo here. Well, yesterday you sounded very, very convinced and convincing too that there were plans to give some other senators the same treatment that you received by being removed from the Senate. You actually mentioned names like Oji Uzo Kalu. Again, I mean, what exactly is the status of that now? Because you say 4 others will be booted out of the Senate? And secondly, do you plan to go back to the Senate? Is that why you're apologizing?
No, I am a very honest man. My apology is because I am convinced that he's not involved. And if you, for many Nigerians that followed me over the years, they don't know me as a person that says something because he won't benefit from something. No, I don't do that. My apology to him is because I am deeply convinced, and I've said earlier, that after he made that discussion yesterday, after he said A, B, C, and D, and I swear on my mother's grave, my hand is not there, I felt sorry. And why I said that yesterday was, like I said before, the available intelligence at our disposal yesterday before further intelligence trickled in.
Let me come in here quickly. Sorry to cut you there, Senator Abbo. Now you say you've apologized to Senator Akpabio.
Go ahead.
But again, if we stretch this, aren't you also impugning on the integrity of the of the courts? Because if you say initially that the Nigerian Senate President interfered, it would seem as if you're now implying that he controls the courts. How are you going to also apologize to the judiciary?
Is the court beyond being questioned? Are they God? Are they heaven? They are answerable to Nigerians.
So
and if something is wrong,
are you saying emphatically,
you should ask them questions.
So, Senator Abbo, you're saying emphatically that it is possible for someone like Nigeria's Senate President to control Nigeria's court?
No, I have not said that somebody like Senate President. What I'm saying there is that, now let me give you a little narrative of what happened yesterday. You watched my press conference. The press release I made yesterday is not just about Akpabio, who is distinguished senator from Akwa State and now the leader and the president of the Senate. What I said yesterday also involved what I believe is some level of judicial rascality, which Nigerians must begin to speak about and begin to hold the judiciary liable, begin to ask questions so that we can get a better country. You can ask the legislature, the National Assembly, you hold them accountable. You can hold the executive accountable. Why don't you hold the judiciary accountable? Now, the truth is, what happened yesterday was just a judicial fraud, because a judge gave a ruling on a ground that does not exist. A judge of a court of appeal exhumed a ground that was withdrawn by the appellant at the lower court. The duty of the court of appeal is not even go back and look at the at the papers. But yesterday, I was removed. Today, my cousin brother, who is in PDP, was removed. Any moment from now, my former PA will also be removed. Mr. Elisha of APC said, there's an internal fighting. Yes, I am the target. And I have all the full grasp of all information that's available now.
Right.
So when you say that impugning on the integrity of the judiciary, it's not about impunity. This is holding them accountable.
Okay,
how do you give a ruling on a non-existent ground?
If we can comment very quickly before we bring in Honorable Elisha Eseme, Eyiboh, very quickly on the issue of the Senate, still staying with you, Elisha Abbo, and the northern senators. There is the general perception that the northern senators are still not, kosher. They're not kosher with the Senate president, that there's still some grouse against him. And you are one of those northern senators. What exactly is the situation? Are northern senators against the emergence of the Senate president, or they have just not accepted it yet?
You see, like I said yesterday, I am a former senator. The Court of Appeal stole mandate yesterday and gave it to another person after disqualifying 37,000 of my votes. About 2 local governments were disqualified yesterday and did not even ask for election to be reconducted in that place. I am not the spokesman of the Northern Centros Forum. I was the acting secretary before I became the treasurer of the Northern Centros Forum. I am not now a member of the Northern Centros Forum. Centro Kao is the spokesman of the Northern Centros Forum. But a Northerner believes in an act of God. A Northerner believes in leadership given by God. So every Northerner is supporting leadership to end well. And I can say as a Northerner, not now as a Northern Senator, that the Northerners want Akpabio or anybody in power to end well. There is no any form of fight or a Northerner antagonizing Senator Akpabio. You said earlier, am I planning to come back the Senate House? I'm apologizing. You cannot come back for the Court of Appeal. You have to wait on the 2027. My apology is born out of deep conviction that someone was hurt. That is the truth. Northerners support leadership, and we are praying for Akpabio, who is the president of the Senate, to end well. If he failed, he didn't fail, it's Nigeria that failed. So we are all praying for him to end well.
All right, great point. Eseme Eyiboh. Yeah. Let's move away from that a little. There's been this issue hanging over the Senate on alleged plans to spend 110 billion naira bulletproof cars and others by the National Assembly. What exactly is the status of that issue now? Because there was a lot of backlash following that.
I want to first indulge you to let me appreciate and thank Senator Abbo. What he has just demonstrated is a very rare strength of character by coming out to apologize to his father and his leader, Senator Godswill Akpabio, the president of the Senate, for getting him so hot. So I want to thank him for that demonstration. I can assure you that he will go places, and Akpabio, for who he is, would always, would never withhold any blessing for him, you know. Yeah, that the issue you've just mentioned, you said there is a plan. That sounds speculative. But in every 4 years, in every establishment, in the local government where you and I, we all come from, council chairmen buy cars to use officially, no matter how rich you are. In the state houses of assembly, the members of those assemblies are using vehicles. They buy vehicles and they use. Members of the State Executive Council, honorable ministers who have just been sworn in, are all going with new cars and are using it to do their functions. You also see even directors in ministries. Recently, by the public speculation, about 5,000 directors were retired. They were given a right of first refusal on the issue of their vehicles. So there is always a board of survey to be able to look at that, assess it, and then they are given a right of first refusal. They buy the cars and they go with it. So I don't know why the one of the National Assembly is generating this level of interrogation.
Yeah, well, Nigerians are saying it does not reflect the financial, situation, the economic situation that Nigerians find themselves.
We are not. I am also a Nigerian out there. I'm not a senator. I'm not a potential beneficiary of what the speculation is all about. But I want to say that I expect Nigerians to begin to deconstruct perception and now step up the issue of monitoring and tracking development. Because, for example, the president of this country, President Ahmed Tinubu, recently increased workers' salary by 35,000 naira. And he advised that subnational should follow suit. But nobody is talking about what is happening to the civil servants at the subnational. Recently, some money for palliatives were sent to respective states, and a lot of money, and nobody is tracking how that money is being deployed and applied. And we keep saying here, talking about...
Anyway, I think, apologies for cutting you there, because we're really out of time. We would like to thank you for your time, Honorable Eseme Eyiboh and Senator Elisha Abbo. Many thanks for your time.